And I do think that's a very nice jacket you got on there.
Thank you very much. It's very comfy, actually.
Hey guys, welcome to Yahoo Movies on Facebook Live. I'm Kevin Ploe. I'm super geeked with our guest in studio today, Mr. Tom Holland. How you doing today,
Good, man? Yeah, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. We are going to be live with you guys for 20 minutes this morning or this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are in the world watching this. We're going to take your questions live on Facebook, so if you have them, you can just sub them into the comment section at any point. We're going to talk about, of course, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
That is the one.
I will say I do have about 20 minutes worth of questions about your lip sync battle.
Ask away.
So we are going to get to that at some point. But we're here to talk about Spider-Man.
I get recognized more from my lip sync battle than I do from being Spider-Man. People come up to me like, dude, you were so good in the lip sync battle. I was like, what do you think about Civil War? They're like, huh?
So lip sync battle is what you're saying is it's made your career thus far.
Yeah.
Until Homecoming comes out.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But a lot of people, like on the plane yesterday, someone came up to me and was like, your lip sync battle was great. So, oh, thanks. Like, I've never been recognized like that before, ever.
And even more amazing that you're out of costume, too.
Yeah, and in a very different costume.
Let's talk about Homecoming, coming out on July 7th. This is Spider-Man's official entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You got to be excited.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a crazy process for me because Civil War was such a rushed, movie for me because I literally was cast, came in, did 2 weeks, and then left. It didn't really feel like I had the chance to actually make a movie. But then making Spider-Man was a really, collaborative experience where I got to work with the director and the writers, the stunt team, the costumers, and everything. So it really does feel like I'm part of this movie, and the fact that it's finally coming out is crazy to me.
How would you say that you're, obviously we saw you in Civil War. That was a big breakout for this character. I got to turn this beep off.
Is that me?
I think is that me? Hold on.
It's definitely you.
I think it was you. We'll just agree and say it was you.
It was me.
No, it was probably me. Civil War was obviously Spider-Man's first entry. How would you say that your comfort level has changed or evolved from that appearance to now having your own standalone feature?
I think because of, like I said, the Civil War process was so quick, and I really didn't have the sense of making the film. I wasn't nervous when the film was coming out because I didn't really know what to expect. I think that my part in the film was a lot bigger than I had thought. And the fact that I got such a wonderful response from the fans was so heartwarming and great, and also gave me the perfect confidence boost into this movie, knowing that I knew what to do. I just had to do it 90 days in a row rather than 5 days in a row. Yeah.
Do you? I mean, you're 2 movies in now. Well, actually, you could say 3 because I know you've already been at work on Infinity War.
Yes.
Does it feel real? I mean, you are Peter Parker. You are Spider-Man. Do you still have sort of like those moments of like nirvana of just like,
it's crazy,
where it's just completely surreal, where you're like, holy jeez, I am Spider-Man?
The craziest thing is actually walking through Target. Targets have like aisles and aisles and aisles dedicated to Spider-Man.
Right.
And I don't look at Spider-Man and go, oh look, there's me, like, because that's crazy. It's crazy to think. But now that I start seeing these Spider-Man cartoons in my costume, it's now starting to really sink in that I am Spider-Man.
Have you ever been caught in Target looking at like your own merchandise?
Oh, I buy Spider-Man merchandise all the time. I have loads of Spider-Man blankets. They're so soft.
You sleep in Spider-Man?
I cuddle myself when I sleep.
You wrap yourself in your work, basically.
Exactly.
It's dedication.
Yeah.
You're living it.
I'm a method actor.
A method sleeper.
A method
also,
sleeper.
It seems. So do you have all the action figures?
I have a few. I have one action figure which I actually think was probably my twin brothers when they were babies. I don't think it was my one. We have one of those at the house, but we have loads of figures. My family now, when it comes to my birthday, we're like, oh, we'll just get him something Spider-Man. And I'm so sick of Spider-Man toys. Literally, my room, I must have about 15 different Spider-Man toys.
Yeah.
Just dotted around my room. And it's weird, I wake up and I feel like I'm being watched by myself now.
Tom's family. Stop getting him Spider-Man
Come
stuff.
on, guys. Actually, do you know what? This time they were really great. I've just bought my first flat, and I have been very stressed trying to figure out what to put in it. So my family have got me like a toaster and knives and forks and kettles and stuff that I would never have thought to buy.
Right.
You just, you assume it.
I bet you can buy everything in Spider-Man.
That would be so. I would be so upset if my mum and dad bought me a Spider-Man toaster.
And now they're going to.
Yeah, now they're going to.
So this is a full-on reboot of the Peter Parker story. How would you say that Homecoming like differs most from previous Spider-Man entry stories that we've seen, the version that we saw with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield?
I think the difference now is that Peter Parker finally has like an all-time goal, and his goal is to become an Avenger. You know, like everything he does, even though he's doing it for the right reasons, is done so that maybe one day he can become an Avenger and prove himself to Tony Stark. And I think we've never really seen Spider-Man with that kind of motivation before. But it's also really nice to just see a kid with superpowers. You know, we've seen the scientist, the billionaire, the god. Now it's time to see what would happen if a kid was given those responsibilities. And it's fun. It makes it more funny because he doesn't really know what to do with them, how to use them, when to use them. It's just a very different, grounded version of what I think superhero movies are.
Have you talked to Tobey or Andrew about the part at any point?
I haven't spoken to Tobey, but I met Andrew on the red carpet at the BAFTAs.
Okay.
Which was really cool, actually. He's a really nice guy, and I was a little nervous about meeting him, but he was so sweet, and I really felt like he passed on the baton, and we could definitely be good friends in the future. I'd love to make a movie with him one day. I love his work. I think he's brilliant.
Did he say anything Spidey related to you on that carpet?
We were literally in the middle of like taking pictures and stuff, so it was very quick. But no, I met him and his brother and his dad, I think, and then they met my mum. So it was a nice little family exchange.
Homecoming has drawn a lot of comparisons to John Hughes movies of the '80s, and sort of like it sounds like Peter Parker is going to experience that teen angst that we've grown accustomed to over the course of time in high school movies. Do you agree with that comparison? Is that spot on?
Absolutely. I think that was one of the things that John set out to do, and it's just a reflection on him as a director that he's getting this kind of response from it. He gave us a load of videos or movies to watch before starting shooting. Pretty in Pink, Back to the Future, Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. My goal was to try and kind of be our generation's Marty McFly.
Okay.
That was what my all-time goal was, and I was actually lucky enough that a journalist said that, like, oh, you're kind of like Marty McFly in this movie. And that for me was...
And you were like...
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's what I wanted to do.
You nailed it.
Yeah, so I was so happy about that. But I think one of the best things about this movie is if you stripped away all of the Spider-Man scenes, there's a really solid movie there without the superhero aspect, about Peter growing up, going to school, struggling. So it's a nice balance between superhero and kid at high school.
I know you've been acting since such a young age. I think most of us discovered you in The Impossible, which you were exceptional in. I don't know, 8 years old. I don't know how old you were at the time.
12?
In your younger
like
teens. Did you attend a proper high school?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I did. After The Impossible, I went back to school and did what we call our GCSEs in England, which is like our end of high school exams, and they're really important because they help you get into college, which I actually did really well in.
Yeah.
By my standards, I'm no genius, but I did really well. But yeah, so I went to high school, what we would call high school, for about 4 years, and then I went to a performing arts school, which is where I met my best mate, and we now go everywhere together. But I didn't really go to that school that much. I was lucky enough to be working with Ron Howard, so I didn't really show up to school. My attendance on my second term was 2%, and I still managed to finish with an amazing grade, which I did nothing towards, but yeah.
Was the set of Homecoming anything like a high school experience? You guys are all obviously going to school in the movie. Did it have sort of like that ambiance at all?
Yeah.
Were there cliques?
Was
there a bully?
No, it wasn't. Everyone got on really well, actually.
Yeah.
Before we started shooting, we, as a cast, all met up as much as we could to try and, just find out about each other and get to know each other, so we had a chemistry on screen immediately. And I think the first thing we did was went on a picnic. And Laura was definitely the leader. She was like, should we get some cheese? And we were like, yeah, okay. She was like, what kind of cheese? And we were like, I don't know, cheddar or something? She was like, what about brie or this or that? We were like, you're in charge of the picnic because you obviously know most about nice foods. But then we went to the aquarium and everyone used to come over to my house and we would hang out. So we all became very good friends very quickly.
Nice. Well, you mentioned you were working with Ron Howard at one point. Great film called In the Heart of the Sea, a very underseen film. That was actually the first time we met. It was at Leavesden, outside England. And I got to tell you this because I'll never forget this. you, Hemsworth, you guys were all on like, I don't know, like 20 calories a day. Like you couldn't eat anything. You were starving yourself to play these shipwrecked whalers, basically. And Hemsworth, bad mood, nicest guy in the world. Everyone's in a bad mood. And then we go to your trailer, and you were just like the most upbeat, positive. I was like, and you, I don't know if maybe you were just like delusional at this point from no calories, but you were just like in the best mood. And I was like, man, what a like positive, upbeat dude.
Thanks.
So
I
like,
probably had just eaten a bar of chocolate and cheated against the diet and was having a mega sugar rush.
That was
I was like, ah!
So what I'm saying is, right when I saw you up for this part, I was like, he needs to get this role.
Oh, thanks,
Spider-Man, and I'm glad you did. Hemsworth was in that movie, as we mentioned, in the Heart of the Sea. Obviously, now you're a fellow Avenger.
Yep.
Did he like ever put in like a good word for you with Marvel at any point?
He did, actually. He did. I sent him an email while auditioning, sort of like, hey, Chris, so I'm auditioning for Spider-Man. Can you let them know that I'm amazing or something? And he replied like, hey, mate, yeah, I'll let them know that you never learn your lines. You're late all the time and terrible at your job. I was like, thanks, Chris. But apparently he put in a lovely word, yeah. That's sorry for my Australian accent if there's any Australians watching. That was really bad.
It was an okay. It was halfway decent. It was halfway decent.
That
is excellent of Hemsworth to do that.
Yeah, no, really nice of him.
We're gonna get to your questions on Facebook in a second. I've got to ask you about that lip sync battle.
Let's go.
I have so many questions.
Go for it.
Where did that come from?
From very deep within.
That was the true Tom Holland?
No. No, I just knew that if I was going to have any chance of beating Zendaya, I'd have to either just go all out and go down the funny route, you know? And I used to be a dancer when I was a kid, so I thought if I could go down the funny route but also throw some dancing in there too, maybe I'll have enough to just beat her. But I was so nervous when we were on stage. Zendaya came out and she was very happy and fun, like, oh, I'm so happy to be here, thanks for giving me all your love, and blah, blah, blah. I came out like, I just want to destroy her. So I came across like really, really aggressive. And I made the mistake of after her first performance going, wow, Zendaya, that was completely and utterly average. And was like, why would I say that? Because it was brilliant and now I have to follow it. So I was very stressed, but it turned out to be a lot of fun.
You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell. I mean, you busted out like some serious moves, like some dangerous moves. Did Marvel see that and go like, whoa, Tom, like,
yeah, well,
chill out. Like, are you gonna have to sign like a no lip sync battle clause going forward?
Well, I have had to sign a thing where I'm not allowed to do any sort of extreme sports outside of work.
Yeah.
Not that I ever do extreme sports at work. Like,
that was extreme dancing.
It was fun.
Yeah.
There's one move we call it in England an alpha jack or an apple jack. I don't know what you call it here in America, where basically, you could see it if you watch it. I basically jump back, kick one foot up in the air, and then go back. And then in the original routine, I was meant to jump back and put both legs in the air. What's up, Facebook? And it was in the rain, and in the rehearsal, I slipped on my hands and landed on the back of my head, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But also very painful. I have a video of it, which I will post at a later date.
Okay.
But it's so funny.
It's coming to
the funniest thing is Harrison's filming, and you can hear the whole audience go, and Harrison just pissing himself laughing. Harrison's like, ah! Yeah.
And you immediately got a text from Kevin Feige, who had like the Marvel drones on you going, Tom, enough. That movie's cut. Have you heard from Rihanna about your performance?
No, I haven't. But Zendaya boastfully sent me a picture of flowers that Bruno Mars sent her, saying how well she did. And I tried to like fake it and get some flowers and pretend that Rihanna sent me some, but...
You sent yourself flowers?
I did, yeah. I'm very sad.
Why wouldn't Bruno send you flowers too?
Because I didn't do Bruno. Maybe if I go back, I'll do Bruno.
That makes sense.
I wanted to do Bruno, but...
That makes sense.
Someone had already done Uptown Funk. That was the one I wanted to do.
We're going to get to some questions from you guys live on Facebook. This one was actually sent in earlier, but I wanted to read it because I found it very touching. I swear my sound is off.
Here,
this keeps beeping.
Boom.
I don't use iPads.
Just turn the sound off. That's all. It's just one switch.
I turned the volume off. This is from Ariane Carvalho in Brazil. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I'm just going to read this straight out. She said, I want to thank you for helping me save my life because when I was sick, she said, I'm still sick, but I'm getting better. You were one of the people who got me up. Then I met you in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and this has helped me even more. She has a question for you two. How does it feel being a hero for some people? And she means not Spider-Man, but Tom Holland yourself.
Wow. Well, firstly, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me, and I'm so glad that I was able to help and, try and make a difference. One thing that I've realized from being given this fantastic opportunity and this wonderful job is that it does come with a responsibility, One thing that I'm adamant about is whichever city we go to during the press tour that we try and visit a children's hospital, because ultimately I think that this is a film for kids, and I don't think it's fair that some kids who are in hospital aren't able to see the movie. So if we can come to them and bring some sort of light and joy, then we will. And it's a huge part of our tour, and it's something that I know Sony feel very passionately about. And if we can make a difference, then we absolutely will.
Fantastic. Yes, as they've said in a movie I've watched one time, with power comes great responsibility.
Yes,
as they say. Edward Sanchez wants to know, did you do your own stunts in this movie, in Homecoming?
I did as many as I was allowed to do. I can't take away any credit from Dave Elson, Holland Diaz, and Chris Silcox. They were my 3 stunt doubles, and they were amazing. All governed under George Cottle, who has baby hands. Everyone who watched my first Facebook Live will know why that joke's funny. But no, those guys were incredible, and we worked so closely together at the start of shooting to kind of, come up with a common way of movement and try and figure out what sort of stunts that I would be doing. But that said, any time I was allowed to do a stunt, I would do it. The worst stunt I ever had to do was at the end of the day, they had wrapped me. So I was going home. I went back to my trailer. I took off the Spider-Man suit, and Harrison had got me a load of, I think it was 2 chicken burgers or something like that, because I hadn't eaten all day because I was in the suit. So I wolfed these chicken burgers down, and just as I finished, they were like, "Oh, we've made a mistake. We need you to come back to set and do this stunt." I was like, okay. So I go back to set, and I have to put on this thing called a corset harness, which is like a Kevlar corset, essentially. And you tighten it up, and then they clip you to it, and then you put the Spider-Man suit on over it. Now, when you've got the Spider-Man suit on, it's over your mouth. So I think if you were to throw up, you'd kind of drown, because it wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So I was sitting on my bum over this big drop, oh, guys, I don't feel so good. And basically the stunt was I was going to have to get dragged face front and dive 30 feet and then sort of stop before I hit the floor. And that was the only time I was really scared doing a stunt. I really thought I was going to be sick, because I could just feel these freshly eaten chicken burgers sort of slowly making their way back. But it didn't. It was fine.
Thank God you did not vomit.
And it's in the movie as well, which I'm so proud of. It actually made it into the movie.
Well, this is a great segue from the chicken burgers that almost made you throw up. This is from Kira. She wants to know, what's your favorite type of dessert?
Oh, my Granny Tess's apple crumble is pretty bomb.
All right.
Yeah.
This is from Nur. What are your thoughts on having Tony Stark as a mentor, or Robert, in real life, Robert Downey Jr. is a mentor on the sets of these films?
I mean, could I be luckier?
Yeah.
Robert is the nicest guy. He's so cool. He's so down to earth. And it's just amazing to work with him, because he's what I would consider to be at the top, And if I'm ever lucky enough to make it to the top, I'd like to think that I would be exactly how he is. He's always on time. He's respectful. He's kind. So he's a good role model for me, and a great friend as well. But to have Tony Stark in the movie is the perfect touch, the perfect amount of Avenger to make this movie really feel like a homecoming to the MCU.
Tony Stark is larger than life. I feel like Robert Downey Jr. is larger than life.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite RDJ story, or favorite moment with him?
Oh, there's so many. I don't know. We're live, so I'm pressured for time.
Does Harrison have one?
I'm sure he has one. Let me think. I don't know.
All right.
Sorry.
It's all right. Paul wants to know, hey, Tom, what do you think about the idea of having Harrison as Johnny Storm?
Johnny Storm, have you seen
Harrison,
that?
you have to jump in here for a moment.
It's so funny.
You have to jump in, because we need to know who Harrison is. This is your best friend.
Sit down a little bit. Find the lens.
What do you think of having this guy as Johnny Storm?
I think it should happen.
I think that would be amazing.
But you have to work for Fox, though.
Yeah, Fox.
It's not with me.
Yeah. But maybe eventually. It could happen.
Well, I mean, it would be cool,
Could
but
be
we wouldn't be on the same team.
I know.
We wouldn't even be in the same. It would be sad.
Yeah.
That would be sad.
It would be sad. But maybe one day we'll have to wait and see.
figure it
Maybe
out.
I'll play The Rock, not Dwayne Johnson, but
Yeah.
The Rock. What's he called? The Thing, not The Rock.
The thing.
The Big Rock.
He should be called The Rock. He's
I
like a
play-
bunch of
It
rocks.
was
Yeah.
Jamie Bell
Yeah.
that played the
It was Jamie Bell.
It was.
Billy
See?
Elliot.
Boom.
Yes.
Big swing.
Anyway,
Thank you, Harrison.
see you, bud. Good squat. Good squat.
How has your experience on Infinity War been thus far?
It's been crazy, man. It's
Yeah.
been a really, really surreal experience because when I did Civil War, I only worked with Chris and Robert very briefly. Everyone else was sort of like I was acting with a tennis ball or all this sort of stuff. I saw everyone, but I never actually got to work with them. And now I'm in a situation where I am on set with all these guys, doing scenes, fighting bad guys. So it's been a real whirlwind, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Amazing. And I saw that you were going to play the adventurer Nathan Drake in the upcoming video game adaptation for Uncharted.
Yes.
Sounds like it could be a whole new franchise for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an exciting one. Didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
It sort of just came out. It was a conversation that I had with Tom Rothman about the potential of different movies that I'd like to work with Sony, and I just had the idea that maybe a young Nathan Drake would be something audiences would be very interested in. I met Sean at the MTV Awards, and we had a brief chat about the potential of doing an origin story rather than copying what the games have done, and it seems like people have been really excited about it. I know I am. And I'm excited to have some further conversations about it.
Anyone you're hoping to see cast as Sully?
I think Jake Gyllenhaal could be really cool, but I actually went to see... I went to the Jurassic World film set the other day to visit my friend who's directing it, and Chris Pratt is on that film, who I've become very good friends with over the last few months. And I think he would be a great Sully.
Ah, okay.
You know? Yeah, I think it could be cool. Because if it was an older movie, I would say that Chris should play Nathan. But I think he would be a cool Sully. And I love working with Chris, so if I could work with Chris some more, that would be great.
Oh, he's awesome. He's awesome. Or otherwise, Harrison could do it.
Harrison could do it.
Or
just give you a role in everything.
Great.
All right, we are 20 minutes down. We've got to wrap this up. Thank you so much for doing this with us today.
Good to
Much
see you
appreciated.
again.
You guys, thank you guys for all your questions on Facebook. I'm sorry we could not get to them all, but I hope you enjoy this. Spider-Man Homecoming in theaters July 7th.
Make sure you
Check
check
it
it out.
out.
I'll be there. Not
He'll-
at every cinema, but
be
I'll
there.
be at one of them.
Boom. There you go. You're going to be at one of them.
Well,
You might
I
as well
will
go
be
see it.
there.
You
I'll
could
have
there.
to be there. I'll be, hello, doing something.
Thank you, Tom Holland.